Part 4 of the Prince Alfred's Pass covers the Middle Langkloof section from the 12th to the 16th kilometre, where some of the finest examples of Bain's retaining walls can be seen, as well as the 2 points of interest of Dekerf and Hangkrans. If you intend driving this pass, it's important to watch all the videos sequentially to gain a complete perspective of what to expect. Along this section descending into the Langkloof, there are many excellent examples of Bain's dry-packed supporting walls, where he used the scientific principles of friction and cohesion to keep his walls intact. The Langkloof is easily the most interesting section of the pass, and one should set aside at least an hour just exploring this short section. At this hairpin bend at the 12-kilometre mark, the altitude is only 630 meters. Here the heather and the grasslands give way to an increasing number of larger trees, and it is after this hairpin that the road begins an easier section with fewer bends as it crosses and recrosses the river as it heads steadily into the southeast. The pass was named after Prince Alfred, who was the Duke of Edinburgh and Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. He was the fourth child of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. He was born at Windsor Castle on August 6, 1844. After being educated at home, along with his older brother, the Prince of Wales, Alfred entered the British Navy at the age of just 14 years. By 1866 he'd been elevated to the rank of captain, and the following year was given command of his own ship, HMS Galatea. The further you drive into the Langkloof, the narrower the road becomes, and as can be seen here, it's necessary for both vehicles to slow right down and create sufficient space to facilitate safe passing. Although the international rule of the road states that ascending vehicles have the right of way, this is often not practical nor safe. Always apply some common sense and lots of courtesy. From this point the road reaches the valley floor and the gradients ease right off. The next few kilometers are fairly easy and the road conditions allow a slight increase in speed. Looking back into the history of Prince Alfred, on January the 24th, 1867, he set sail on HMS Galatea for a trip around the world. Following a visit to Cape Town in South Africa, he arrived in Australia on October 31, the first British royal to set foot in that country. On March the 12th, 1868, whilst visiting Sydney, Prince Alfred was the victim of an assassination attempt. This is the first of two low-level concrete bridges, whereafter the conditions on the road frequently become more wet. The trees here increase in height and density as the road follows the western side of the river. Approximately 2 kilometers south of Cloud Cottage, there's a ruin on the western side of the road. It's speculated that these are the remains of one of the houses that Bain constructed to house his convict labourers. Bain was an astute person who treated his labourers well with proper shelter and good food. He fully understood the value of his labour. Prince Alfred visited the Cape Colony in 1867, and in September of that year he was hosted on an elephant hunt in the pass region. After a successful hunt, he gave permission for the pass to be named after him. The pass was officially opened on the 29th of September 1868. The next signpost that you'll see is marked as Dekerf, which translates into the slice or the notch. This is a very narrow part of the river gorge where there are a series of small waterfalls in a very attractive setting. Going back as far as 1857, Andrew Bain carried out a reconnaissance survey together with his son Thomas. Bain Sr. was not impressed with the rugged and steep route with which the locals had to make do for 90 years or so. Andrew Bain maintained that there was no point in attempting to improve the Paardekorp route, and that road should in fact head from Avontuur more or less directly to the south towards Knysna. He insisted on this routing, even though it meant forging a way through the dense indigenous forests. Despite emphasizing the great engineering difficulties and the great cost of £15,000, the reports were accepted and the funds were voted. At the 16th kilometre, another sign beckons, marked Hangkrans, which translates into hanging cliff. Bain expertly circumvented this large chunk of mountain by encroaching into the course of the river by building high and substantial retaining walls to hold the river back. He also constructed tunnels under the road to move floodwaters efficiently from the high side of the road into the flow of the river. His engineering standards were well ahead of his time. Be sure to watch part 5 of the Prince Alfred's Pass, which deals with the lower Langkloof.